Welcome everybody. Today's video finds us over here in Sing Buri province. We're 2.5, 3 hours or so north of Bangkok, north of Ang Thong, north of Ayutthaya. And what brought me over here today is to take a look at a really cool temple that is quite historic. It's Wat Na Phra That, okay, which is like the prang with the Buddha relic in it or so. It was renamed this under the reign of King Rama V, I believe. The original name of it was Wat Sisa Mueang or Wat Hua Mueang, and Rama IV renamed it to its current name. This is probably the site of the old town of Sing Buri. They don't really know. They've excavated a little bit around here and they found this because this was one of the most prominent features. It probably predates actually the Dvaravati in this region. The Dvaravati were here as well as the Khmer. This was Singhapura, I think is what this was named. It was a Khmer settlement also. So the prang itself has the Khmer influence. It was early Ayutthaya era whenever it was constructed. And then the rest of it is in ruins, but there's also a nice little like modern temple that's kind of attached with monks and residents, and we'll take a look at this. The site is a registered historic landmark. It was registered as that in 1935. It was abandoned in the 13th, 14th century, and then it was reclaimed in the 19th century. So anyway, let's see what we see here and kind of enjoy it. Right up here, there's kind of a little bit of a hill, and the monks are burning some leaves and all of that. So we have a chetty field, and then it'll be an Ayutthaya style layout here. This is the old glass wall. We have a sermon hall over here, and then we have some new buildings off over that way. We'll kind of wander around here. There's quite a bit to see. The main prang itself is kind of the highlight. I think it's 14 meters high or something like that, and it has some really cool imagery. So this is the chetty field, has the octagonal bases of a lot of them, and then there's more that's just down to the base. Yeah, King Rama IV, he's the one that renamed it. He had a really interest in archaeology, and so he came back in here and had his team excavate and study. You can see these would have been the little things at the very top of these chetties. There would have been the spire that would have kind of coiled around. There's a few more over here, and then these chetties are just down to the base. So this one was a square chetty, the same as this, and it probably had a bell up on top of it. And it looks like there's 8 here, 4 in 2 rows, and then it had more over here. So there might have been 16 or so of these chetties. It's hard to say. And here's some more of the tops of the spires. And this one here actually has a little bit of plaster right there. And you can see this one would have been bell-shaped. And the smoke over here about to gag me out. But I wanted to see this right here. It looks like a new image, but I thought it was an old one. But what is here is this right here. This is a little bit of the stucco work that would have been like a lotus flower. And what it is it's actually the top of the chetty. I thought it was a building, but it's not. That's the spire, and this would have been the point. So this would have been the round little bell, and then this would have been the spire, and this piece right here would have went right there, and it would have all set up on top of that. Yeah, so we have a double row of these. And you can see these are in a little bit worse shape. These are quite tall, but there's nothing really outstanding on the outside. And then this is what we came for, is the prang up there in those trees. Yeah, there's still a little bit of plaster on these. It's kind of overgrown. Same as over here. Looks like there's a couple inches of it on those chetties. And then this is the first hall. So this would have been on the east side. And then they would have had the chetty in the middle, and then they would have had the other building on the west side. And this here, you can see there is some plaster here on the bottom of this. It's kind of overgrown by the grass. The monks probably have a continuous battle to keep this clear. Then over there we have the water, the river. So they think this would have been an important settlement on this. It's the Chaksari or something like that is the river, but it probably would have silted up and wouldn't have allowed as much trade. And then Ayutthaya rose in prominence, and so this area kind of lost the trade routes, and then it was abandoned, and the jungle and everything kind of took it over until the 19th century when they came back. Yeah, so here we go. This is the hall. So this would have been the columns. They would have been square columns here, and then we'd have had a pedestal right here with the Buddha on it. And I don't know if there would have been a back door that would have led to the prang, but yeah, they would have had all the small images here in front of it. Yeah, this is quite cool. Yeah, there's not much more here to see. This would have been the pedestal. It would have been plastered. You can see how they would have carved the bricks, how they did it to shape it and everything. And they would have had all the images around. So it doesn't look like there would have been a back door. So you'd have only been able to access it on the front. And then there's the prang. That sun is right behind it. We'll have to look at it from the side. But you can see how this was constructed. So you see the narrow walls right here. That would have been an early Ayutthaya, and it would have had to use the columns to support the roof. The later Ayutthaya, they did a thicker wall. It was more of a European influence, and then they could open those up on the inside. A little bit more space for the people. Yeah, there was a ton of chetties here. You can see kind of how that wall is bowed out. This tree is pushing the foundation of it out. Yeah, those get in the little cracks and they do a lot of damage. Oh, this is interesting. So you see right there, those are the laterite stones. So these are the laterite stones that the Dvati used for construction, as well as the Khmer. And it looks like it would have been on the inside of maybe a chetty or something. So this would have been recycled material that they'd taken and from another structure and used it in there. All right, and here is the prang. Oh, it is fantastic. So you can see the style of it. So this is the little opening, the relic chamber here on the east. And then we have the figures all around there. So it's Khmer styling. The early Ayutthaya had these prongs that were very, very similar to the Khmer. They just didn't use like the pediments and the lintels above the doors, but a lot of the other elements were similar. Oh yeah, this is absolutely fantastic. So you see 3 of the 4 figures are right there, and then all the other imagery is all etched into the plaster there. And then check this out. So they have a standing Buddha right here, and then up there, that's kind of like the pediment. It's like the little Naga heads and stuff. And then it has kind of the lion right there on the left corner. Oh, this is nice. So this was all part of the restoration. They came in here and they restored it in like 1990. We have a Buddha right there that would have probably been in that notch right there. But they have it down here, and the head is off of one of those figures up there. They've just put it on there. And then the other building is over here. This is the ordination hall. So we can actually look in the relic chamber. Let's look in it right now. Yeah, so you can see the redented corners here. Oh, I really like the styling of this. So it'll be different tiers. It'll be 3 tiers. You can see them right here. 1, 2, 3. That symbolizes in Buddhism like hell, the earthly realm, and heaven. And they have a little data plate there. I don't know if that's from when I restored it. And they have a gate that can be closed. So the monks will have this open during the day. Yeah, so you can see this is it's like a little column. So I wonder if this was maybe like a Shiva linga when this was done. If it was Buddhist or Hindu. or maybe that's just the pedestal that it was on. So you have a modern Buddha that they've stuck there, and then all the locals have came and left like little Fanta and everything for the spirits. That's quite cool though, looking back. So that hall would have been the white with the red roof tiles. Would have been quite cool. And this prong would have been white also with the stucco and the plaster. Oh, this would have been fantastic. It's kind of up on a little bit of a hill. So online they said actually that they might have used this prong for navigating on the river. So the guys could have seen where they're at when they saw this prong. And you can see over here on the north side, that one's missing its head. But those figures around there are fantastic. You can see the wings on that one. The one on the left is broken off. And a lot of the plaster and everything. All right, so let's look at this hall here, and we'll look at a little bit of the new stuff and see what else we see here at this temple. Now these are the Buasima stones, so you can see a little bit of the stone carvings there. Those would have been the important markings on it, and they're made out of sandstone, and you see the size of them. They're quite large. That's also kind of the early Ayutthaya. The Khmer early Ayutthaya used these humongous pieces of sandstone to mark the perimeter of the ordination hall. And I got a bird over there. Yeah, this is really cool. So there is the opening to the glass wall here on the west side with a couple of little Buddha images there. And you can see over there, there's another prong. And then this is the ordination hall. So, oh, that's just absolutely fantastic. So they've hung a light up on the tree so they can come over here and do stuff at night and have the light on. Same construction with the square columns. And then check out how that tree is taken over that wall. You can see the bricks inside of it. And then it has the pedestal of the Buddha image, but there's nothing left of it, just a little bit of the legs. Yeah, and then the prong back behind. Now a lot of these temples, when they were abandoned, you'd have looters that would come over and chop the heads of them off. They were looking for treasure. The old Ayutthaya custom was to put gold and precious jewels kind of in the head whenever they made it. And so those people, treasure hunters, would come over. The temple wasn't consecrated anymore because it was abandoned, and they would look for treasure in the Buddha images. Then over here, that's the top of that chedi. And I can't get over how many chedis. And there was another little wall over there, so we had another building on that side. All right, so this is the new part here. And then we'll look at that chedi. And then there's the hall over here that the monks use for a classroom. And you can see the bodies and the legs of a couple of the little Buddha images. Over here, this would have probably been another hall. But what they've done is they've come in and they've put a roof over it, and then they've left it open. They just put tiles on the ground. And then they have some of the wax figures of the Buddhas, the monks over there, and then this image. And this is a place to donate to the temple right there in that big alms bowl. It's quite nice with this wood. Yeah, a big area here underneath the roof. And there's quite a bit more to it. We won't look at all that. We'll just look at the old stuff. We got the bells, old wagon wheel, the wheel of law, the prayer wheel here, and then more of the temple over there. Bathrooms, the kutis for the monks. And then this is another one of the chedis with quite a few Buddha images all around. And you can see this was a wall here at one time. You see all the bricks is rubble. We got some monks over there doing some things. And then right up here, this would have been surrounded by a wall. And then another chedi here. So you can see here, this would have been a shrine. And they've actually used the existing building, and then they've put a brand new Buddha right on top. Yeah, you can see how they did that. Yeah, pretty interesting. And this is an octagonal, so this would have been late Ayutthaya, that style of temple building. Would have been Ayutthaya, the chedis and all of that. Yeah, this is a building that they use for classrooms now. So it's a modern construct on top of the old foundation. You can see how they poured the concrete on the top of those bricks, and they use it now. So we won't go in there. They're doing some stuff. I can hear them. Hey, you see all the novice monks in there at the tables. Yeah, we won't disturb them. Those young boys need to study. All right, so that's the old part. Lots of Buddha images. And then all the new part of the temple over here. All right, so we'll take one last look here. So there's actually a data plate here that talks about that it owes a lot to the Khmer culture, and the body of the prang and the height was much greater at one time. Oh, that's really cool. All right, so that's it. Those little figures carrying the truncheons up there. You can see the asuras, all of that. Yeah, it's really cool. Well, that'll finish up our video over here at this old temple. This is fantastic. This is Wat Na Phra That. I really like finding stuff like this. As you guys know from all my videos, I've been to lots and lots of temple ruins all around, mainly Ayutthaya. That's where the majority of them are. But the Ayutthaya kingdom stretched out, so they had so many other small villages. And there was also, you know, Sukhothai before Ayutthaya came to power. Sukhothai was there, and it had their settlements that went out. And then, of course, you had, you know, the Khmer before Sukhothai. You had the Dvaravati that was all mixed in here. So there's just layers and layers and layers of history. I think if you came in here and you excavated down, you know, out here, you know, 3-4 meters, this would be just an absolute treasure trove of old relics and stuff that's been lost to time, you know, sediment and all of that. So this is really cool. It's on a hill, so it is actually something that they could excavate and they could find fairly easy. So you know, what you see is, you know, a little bit of this region's history. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. I really like coming to places like this. So if you do and you enjoy the video, smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, and then you get to see some more stuff like this. I tell you a little bit about what I know and show you what I see and everything. I'm not an expert, but I'm just kind of a guide. I walk out here and I just enjoy it for me. So if you enjoy hearing me, you know, talk about it, then that's definitely where you need to be. If you want to see more stuff, subscribe and leave me a comment. Tell me what you think, if you've been here or you're interested in Sing Buri province. It's out of the way. Most people skip it. They go either here or Sukhothai or Pisonaluk or Kampeng Phet, something like that, or go up north to Chiang Mai. But there is so much more to see in Thailand. You get to see places like this. So anyway, subscribe, hit like, and until next time, from over here in Sing Buri, remember, life is a journey. Until next time, enjoy.